Hello, tiny friends. Welcome back to Tiny Keyhole Minis. I'm Jolene. Today I'll be restringing my new lady friend. She's a bisque doll from the 90s, but she needed new strings. I have a great instructor assisting me along the way. So Dot from the doll cupboard has helped me learn how to restring this doll, and she sent me a care package, sort of like a kit, to help me along the way. So thank you so much, Dot, for that. Tiny friends, if you don't know who Dot is or you're not familiar with her channel, The Doll Cupboard, I will put a link in the description box below so that you can go over there and see her channel. You're going to absolutely love her channel. I promise you. I adore your channel, Dot. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have such a great instructor assisting me so that I don't get sued or arrested for malpractice because I am not licensed and I don't have a lot of experience doing this. So let's cross our fingers that my new lady friend has a grand recovery. Dot sent me a care package and I did film unboxing her package, but unfortunately, I believe I deleted it while I was cleaning out my files and making more room for new files. So I'm going to show you what she sent me, and I'm going to put a link in the description box below to some of her other videos because she does a few videos on restringing these antique dolls or bisque dolls, and she makes it look super simple and easy enough that I believe somebody with no experience like myself can achieve this as well. So check that out. If you need to learn or want to learn how to string or restring a doll, or if you have doll parts and you want to learn. So I think it's super helpful. It's great to learn a new skill, right? Especially when we're in this field where we're working with miniature dolls or dolls. So I'm going to show you what she sent me, and you'll be able to find all her information to her channel in the description box below. Okay, Dot sent me this package shortly after I received the doll, so it's been a while since I've been able to come back to the doll and do this video for you all. That's probably how it got deleted. It's been sitting around for a few weeks now. But in the box, she sent me a couple pairs of hemostats, and one is a straight edge and one is a curved edge. And these are going to be necessary to hold the strings in place so they don't slip through as I'm working on one side. And you'll see as we go along, or if you've seen her videos like this. And I didn't have any of my own, so thank you so much, Dot, for sending me these. It was very thoughtful of you to actually send me these. These are also called medical clamps or plier clamps. And she also sent me 2 different size elastic strings. And I think I'll be using the smaller size for this doll, but in case I come across a bigger doll, I'll have a larger size to use in the future as well. So thank you so much, Dot, for sending me 2 different sizes. She sent me a little bundle of nail files or emery boards, which are always helpful when you're making miniatures. Thank you, thank you. But she also sent me this bundle of fabrics. I love fabrics. Now, I can't get enough of fabrics, and I have a lot of fabrics, but only a fraction of small prints. So she sent me a few scraps of lace, and I actually used some of this lace to create a little 1920s doll outfit for a 1920s flapper penny doll that I actually sent to Dot. So if you haven't seen that video, you can also find that video on her channel as well. She sent me some lovely prints. I've already used some of these fabrics in the sewing room. If you've seen my sewing room project or the last video I did from the sewing room series, you'll recognize some of these fabrics in that room. This last piece of fabric, Dot, you have to tell me if this is a vintage piece of fabric or if this is something that was purchased in the recent years, because I have this same pattern of fabric that actually did come from the 70s. It was part of a corn husk doll, some sort of decor that you can hang on your door, and her bonnet was made of this same print. So I've been cutting up the bonnet and using that print, but I'm so grateful that you sent me a large piece of this because I love it so much. It's one of my favorites. So I was very surprised to see it in the bundle, and I'm just very curious to know if they're still printing this pattern. So really interesting. Thank you so much, Dot. She sent me quite a large piece in miniature world. It's quite a large piece. So thank you so much, Dot. And again, I've already cut a piece off of it, and you will see this on the sewing table in the sewing room. She made these adorable jack-o'-lanterns, and they look so nostalgic and vintage. I love them, and I am anything vintage. She made these from seeds that she found outside. So I thought that was super, super crafty and creative. And she said that she found these seeds outside. So they fallen from some tree. 100% it screams vintage. And then there's this one, and I love this one. It reminds me of the warty witch pumpkins that we usually pick out every year. Every year we like to pick out the ugliest pumpkins that nobody wants, and I always call them witch pumpkins, and this looks just like one. So I'm going to try and show you a close-up so you can actually see what this little thing looks like. And it looks just like a pumpkin, and it's just a seed found from outdoors. There is a little wax on the bottom of them because I've already put them in my display box, so you may be seeing some of that wax. I love everything. I love the little gifts. Thank you very, very much. I'm so grateful that you shared these gifts with me and that you're assisting me and helping me with the stringing of this doll. She also sent me a lovely card with a lovely message inside. So once again, Dot, thank you so much. And tiny friends, go check out her channel. I know some of you may be following her, but if you're not, definitely go check her out. Subscribe to her channel. Dot is super sweet, super fun. You're going to love her journey. You're going to love her stories. And you're going to love the miniatures that she's making and creating as well. I'm going to move on to prepping the doll because there is a little bit of prep. Before I actually get to stringing her, I have to prepare her. So I've already taken the doll apart, and this was kind of rare, I would say. I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with this, but for the most part, the dolls that I've seen on Dot's channel, they have either holes in their pieces for the strings or they have hooks in their pieces. And this one had neither. This one was filled with glue and the strings were actually glued inside. So I had to clean out all of that glue, and it was kind of rubbery, like hot glue or maybe some cement glue. I'm not really sure, but I did try hot glue and it didn't work out, so I'm going to try something else. Here's the other piece, and you can see how the string was actually glued into place. Again, I've thrown the string away. It had no elasticity to it at all, and they were just glued right in here. They're pretty secure, but the string didn't last very long because this doll is only from the 90s. So, and it was more of a flat elastic string. So, but this is what it looked like. It was totally glued into place. And now I'm going to take all of this out, remove all this, and come back to show you the solution that I came up with for prepping the doll. Now I suppose there are several different types of wires you can use to create the hooks, as long as they're durable and don't break. But I'm going to use these eyelets that already have little loops on the ends, and I'm just going to cut them down and put them into place. And I think that this might actually work. the string is small enough to go through the loop. So I'm going to try to use these instead of creating my own. The string fit fine, so I'm just going to cut them down. Two of them I cut a little shorter for the arms, and then the legs have deeper holes in them, so I'm going to cut the ones for the legs a little bit longer. And I'm just using my cutters to clip these down, and I'm pretty sure they're going to work. We'll see. I am going to try to use air dry clay. Um, I'm going to use DOS air dry clay, and Dot had mentioned something about this in our conversations, but I'm going to give it a try because I'm thinking it might actually work. I'm going to have to let them sit overnight, but that's okay. You guys won't feel that that time and that wait and all that uh, anticipation of no patience. When I come back to you guys, it'll just be really quickly. But the first thing I'm going to do is use some of the wood glue since I already have it out, and I know wood glue is a great companion with when it comes to the air dry clay. So I've added some of that wood glue in the hole first, and now I'm taking a little bit of the air dry clay, but I'm going to just layer the glue with the clay, and I've wet my fingers to moisten the clay a little more so it's a little easier to work and a little softer to pack in, and I'm just packing it in the hole. Now the legs have a deeper hole than the arms, so I have to pack a little more in on the legs, but I am layering them with glue, clay. Just going to take my wooden barbecue skewer and pack that in there. And I'm just going to level it out as best as I can on top and clean up around the edges so it doesn't interfere with moving the parts. So I'm ready for the pin. I'm going to take one of the longer pins and just dip it into the wood glue and then insert it in the middle. I'm not sure if they should go horizontally or vertically. I don't know if there's a specific way or if it doesn't matter at all, but I am going to place all of the pins in vertically. Again, I have no idea if it makes a difference, but I guess we'll find out when I go to add the string. So I've got this leg done. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other three parts, and I'll be back. Okay, so this is what they look like. They are all done. I'm going to leave them to dry overnight just to be on the safe side. And I'm going to move on to the second part of the prep. If you've seen Dot's videos, she uses some sort of padding between the body parts so that the bisque doesn't rub together. And she uses pieces of a child's leather glove or something like that. Well, I don't have that, but I do have some white felt. I don't know if it's going to work out over time or what the case may be, but I thought it may still work. So I've cut little circles and then I've cut out circles from the middle. So they're kind of like little rings, and I use the wood glue and I've just glued them around the holes. And since it's a little bit of a thicker material, I've tried to press it down and smush it down into the glue to flatten it out as much as possible. You're not really going to see these parts because she's going to have clothes on. So as long as it doesn't interfere with the joints moving, I'm pretty sure it'll be okay. I am not going to put a piece around the head because you will notice that if I do that. So the head won't have a piece. She kind of looks like she doesn't have a neck either. So I'm just going to work on the limbs for this. And I've already done three of them, so I'm going to finish off the last one. And then I'll do a test to make sure that the limbs are fitting and working properly. So I'm using the wood glue since I do have some out, and that is what Dot uses for her leather pieces. I thought this was really smart because if the doll is being moved around a lot, it will prevent any chipping or, wearing and tearing in the bisque and thinning it out. And she won't be moved around a lot, but over the years, it will add some sort of protection. So I definitely wanted to include this part as well. So I thought that was brilliant of Dot to come up with that solution and use that. I am placing this down over the glue, and again, I'm just going to smush it down and try and flatten the felt as best as I can into the glue so that it's not as thick. Okay, so now I'm going to try to fit in the pieces and make sure that they're still moving and that it's not interfering. Another thing, this actually helps to keep them in nice and tight. I noticed that trying to put these pieces in that they just stay put with that felt in between. This one only goes up midway. It doesn't go all the way up straight up. I don't know. I don't think it's the felt. I think it's the way the arm was molded and the hole. I didn't have a problem with this arm. It will rotate all the way around. But the first arm that I'm putting in, it kind of just locks tight right there and stops. So I went in with a toothpick just to try and flatten that fabric down a little bit more, just in case, just trying to figure out if it's the felt or if it's the mold. And it just did the same thing. It only goes to this part and then it locks tight. So I'm thinking that it's probably just the mold itself. But I don't think there's going to be a reason for her to put her arms straight up in the air, or at least both of them. So I'm not really worried about it. As long as the arm is still movable and it still works, I'm okay with that. Trying the other limbs, I made sure that the legs moved around just fine, and they did. Nothing locked up on either leg, nothing locked up on the other arm, so I'm pretty sure it is just the mold and the mate. Okay, I'm starting with the smaller size string, and I've got it through the head and through the first leg, and then it broke off. And so I started again, and uh, it broke off again. So since I've broken them all off, I decided to glue them back on. Instead of vertically, I'm going to go horizontally. And I just felt like for some reason that was better. And because of all the stretching and retrying, I learned that the smaller cord was not durable enough. So I'm removing it and cutting it all out. And I'm going to try again with the larger cord. It feels like it's tighter and stronger, and I think it's going to hold up a lot better. So I'm measuring this length that I'm going to need. I'm going to begin with the head and the legs first and connect those together. And at this point, I pretty much have like hook and socket syndrome. So I'm kind of like a little nervous. This was because I was not patient enough and I kept trying before the clay and the glue was actually dried. And it was all just because I wasn't patient enough. I did use a lot of Loctite super glue this go round. So I'm slipping it through. I've done a slip knot over the head hook. So I'm sliding it through this side, which is actually the right side, and I'm going to place the right leg first. I'm just trying to get this nice and flat so it's not twisted up and I can pull it down tightly. I've got the one leg on, the head is moving good. I'm going in for the second leg. I'm going to tie it nice and tight. I am going to give it that square knot, so it's the what, right over left, left over right kind of thing. And it seems pretty good. So I'm snipping it, I'm tucking it, and her head and legs work great. So I'm halfway there, and I'm feeling pretty confident at this point. So now I'm going to go in for the arms. And first, I decided to tie the square knot around the first arm, and um, this didn't really work out. Once I put it through and connected it to the other arm, and got that nice and tight, so I thought was nice and tight. And I even double checked, if I pull this nice and tight, is this going to work? But my first problem was is I couldn't get the string in. no matter what I did, I tried removing some of that glue. There was just so much glue, it was blocking the hole in the loop. So I tried sticking it in with my pick. That did not work. I tried taping the end and thinking, oh yeah, this is a life hack. It's going to work for sure. I'm onto something. I am good to go. And I twisted it and twisted it, and I got it somewhat in there, and I started pulling it, and I'm like, gosh, this is really okay. So this is secure enough where I'm pulling so hard and I'm twisting and I'm pulling, and you can see all this go down. And then I decided to use my teeth and I pulled it out. I pulled that hook right out. I glued it back in there. I let it sit for a while and I came back thinking, okay, this was long enough to dry. But then the right arm came loose. And so I decided, all right, that knot on the right arm was not going to work. So as I was cutting it out, the left arm hook broke on me again. So now it is set aside and it is drying. I coated it with tons of Loctite super glue, and I decided to try this method. So I'm just going to string it through the hoop as you see, and I'm going to pull it through. I've got the left arm attached, but it still isn't dried yet. It still needs to dry. So at this point, it was pretty late. I decided, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let it sit overnight. And that is what I did. And Tiny Friends, you will not have that problem if you don't have open sockets. You won't have that problem if you do have open sockets and you just have patience, which I did not because I was too excited. I'm halfway through, right? Okay, so it's the next day. I'm going to give this one last try. I've got it through the hoop into the other arm. It's completely dried. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up and give it that square knot one more time, I hope. I hope this is one more time. And I'm going to give it a really nice tight pull. Like I'm really pulling hard on this. And I'm making sure that the other arm is still tight and this is going to work. I've trimmed it off. I'm tucking in those ends. This finally worked. So she's done. She's working. She's moving. She's tight. And I have accomplished restringing a doll. And I'm going to tell you, it really is a simple process. It really doesn't take this long. My problem was that I had open sockets, that I did not have the patience to wait for my clay and glue to completely dry. So if you end up with a doll that has open sockets that needs restringing, use some sort of putty. The clay, the dry clay, the air dry clay and the glue did work. And then additional super glue with the hooks. Just be patient enough to let it dry. If you don't have open sockets, you have a doll that has hooks or has string holes through the limbs, you're not going to have this problem. It is very simple and it doesn't take as long. You can do this too. I hope you enjoyed this video today. When I come back with her, she'll have a new outfit and some hair. We'll do that for her. And she is 5 inches tall. She is a lot smaller than Margot. I don't know. When I put her up to my paper Aura, that's 1/12, she seems very accurate. When I put her in the house next to the doors, she seems really small. When I put her next to some of the 1/12 size miniature furnitures, she's compatible, and other sizes, she's too small. Some of the Chris and Bond kits work for her. I probably just make things too big. So, but you know, I'm working on the house, so I'm going according to the house. So I'll make her own scene. She's super excited about her new life. You'll get to know who she is, a little more about her life, what she does. Before she went under sedation, she did tell me her name, and her name is Edith K. Monroe. But she says the people that know her call her Edie Money. So I guess we'll find out why. She's still a little loopy, but she seems to have made a grand recovery, so I don't have to worry about any lawsuits. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If this is something that you would be interested in trying, Thank you to my good tiny friend Dot at the Doll Cupboard who taught me this and has some great videos on how to do this. So don't forget to check out the description box below if you don't know of the Doll Cupboard. And if you want to learn more, because she does quite a few of these videos with different types of dolls. I want to thank you to everybody that has subscribed, all my new subscribers, and if you're new here, welcome to Tiny Keyhole Minis. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that top bell notification button to be notified every time I upload a new project or to follow along with my miniature journey. I do several miniature projects, and I'm creating a 1930s farmhouse called the Josephine House. You don't want to miss any of the new miniature projects coming up, and you may want to catch up on some of the projects that you have missed. Okay, really quickly before I go, I've asked my viewers to help me name Margot's cockatoo bird because he didn't have a name yet. And this is Margot's dog. Margot's dog is named Poe. My grandson put the old man's hat on him. I just thought that was really cute. But Margot's dog's name is Poe, and a lot of you said maybe he was named after Edgar Allan Poe, so maybe Edgar would be a good name for the bird. I did not go with Edgar, although I loved all the names that you guys came up with. The dog was not named after Edgar Allan Poe. The dog's full name is actually Po Boy. And when the old man would go fishing or be working around the farm, the dog would be by his side, and he was always calling the dog and saying, "Come on, Po Boy." So the dog's name is Po Boy, but we call him Po. Although I did like Edgar a lot, I did not choose that. I did choose the name Tootie, and that is because the old man was some sort of musician and he would play a few instruments. He had a trumpet or some sort of a horn, and the bird would always mimic the trumpet that the old man was playing. So I thought it made sense to name the bird Tootie. And later on down the road, as we venture off more about the old man, you'll see some of his instruments laying about. And I just thought that was going to be more of a sensible name since the bird likes to toot a lot, like the trumpet or the horn that the old man was playing. So this is Poe and Tootie. But I want to thank everybody that has helped me. It was super fun to hear some of the names that you all were coming up with. Until the next time, tiny friends, you all have a lovely day, and I will see you all on the mini side. Bye-bye.